Hi Spartans, it's Miss Haskins. I absolutely love nonfiction. I want to understand the world, the people in it. I'm a voracious consumer of facts, information, ideas. One review that I ran across when I was looking for books to recommend is this from Paige Rawls' memoir Positive, about being HIV positive. And this woman illustrates one of my reasons for loving nonfiction. She says, I cried twice while reading this book. Once when I realized I didn't understand HIV/AIDS and had been judging the virus for so long. And another time when the nurse showed kindness. If you read the book, many adults will not be showing that to her. And she says, that's why I love reading so much. By just picking up a book, we can glean knowledge about the world around us that helps us change our views about certain things. There is no one in my life who has openly had HIV/AIDS, but by reading Paige's story, I do now. She may not know me, but I know a little about her, and she's helped me significantly. So that's one of the wonderful things about nonfiction, that it can open your eyes to the things that you don't know, and the experiences that other people have, and struggles that they have in the systems that you also navigate but may not have difficulties with. So I'm really thrilled that Ms. Durkee's giving you an opportunity to do this and to be here. Your job in the library today is to choose a nonfiction book and get Ms. Durkee's okay. When you approach nonfiction, be skeptical. If you would like to access nonfiction text convey information, and sometimes that information is wrong. Select read, and it'll be linked books are simply videos which make a good faith effort to convey information truthfully and accurately, or at least they claim to. But some people struggle to fully support their claims. Some people lack knowledge relevant to their topic, want to stick with, and be able to some people are conspiracy theorists who write propaganda that feels really important and true to them. It is all nonfiction. So with nonfiction, we embrace the challenge of taking in information, being critical, and building knowledge. If there's a book in mind, start with the library catalog. You can get to that through the portal or through our library website. If there's a subject you're interested in, you can just come on in and start browsing by Dewey numbers. So if you're interested in psychology, go to the 100s, history, 900s. Almost everything with Dewey is nonfiction, but the 800s can be about literature or they can be literature. So there are a handful of books in the 800s you'll want to avoid because they are fiction. And if you aren't sure where to start, I'm going to go through a few suggestions based on the types of texts California wants you to be proficient in by the time you leave. There's so much variety in informational texts. Some come at you with facts, 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 no personality, but many are still told as stories using the conventions of narrative that you are familiar with from fiction. So narrative conventions, again briefly, you have some sort of experiences of some person or people in some time and place, experiencing some sort of problems or challenges, and if it's a good story, probably going to get you invested in their life and their journey. One information genre that very much embraces the storytelling style is memoir. So we can see this in this excerpt from Ibtisam Barakat's memoir of her childhood in Palestine in the 1970s. She says, "Mother begins packing our belongings. War has a way of displacing people in the blink of an eye, and we must be ready to go," she laments. "I feel afraid," I tell Mother. She shouts she does not want to hear it. "Feel something else." So, true story, true people, giving us insight into their lives through storytelling, dialogue, etc. Other memoirs to consider, the one that I read a review from earlier, Paige Rawls was bullied so relentlessly after disclosing her HIV status that she tried to commit suicide, got through it and decided that, instead of taking myself out of the world, I want to make this world a better place for people with HIV and people who are bullied, and she has been an advocate ever since. So then when we move into biography, it also relies very heavily on narrative conventions. The main difference with autobiography and biography, memoirs focus on certain memories, parts of a person's life. Biography and autobiography are meant to be a look at someone's whole life, birth to death, with maybe more of a focus on those important moments. Exposition is an approach that you're going to see everywhere. It's almost inescapable in nonfiction. You'll see expository information in descriptions of the setting, historical context, characters, background, etc., of all kinds of nonfiction subgenres. But some texts have exposition as their primary genre. And the primary purpose of those is to convey factual information clearly and accurately. So, for example, we have Viral, which describes the early decades of the AIDS crisis. From Whisper to Rallying Cry describes how the 1982 murder of Vincent Chen helped galvanize the Asian American civil rights movement. Overview of World Religions, these are all exposition books. Technical books, I'm going to jump past. Most technical writing is not in books. Then we have argument, cast, for example, that summer and into the fall, and in the ensuing years to come, amid talk of Muslim bans, nasty women, border walls, and S-hole nations, it was common to hear in certain circles the disbelieving cries, "This is not America," or "I don't recognize my country," or "This is not who we are," except that this was and is our country, and this was and is who we are, whether we have known or recognized it or not. The gift of fear is basic argument is that women and girls should be less polite, listen to your intuition over social pressures. It might save your life. Speak of the Devil is from a university press, and as is common with academic arguments, they indicate the main claims in the subtitle. So the claims basically how the Satanic Temple is changing the way we talk about religion includes two claims. One, that the way that we're talking about religion as a society is changing, and two, that the Satanic Temple is the impetus for that change. So big claims will need big support. History books are going to try to help you understand the past. And oftentimes there's, an argument in there, there's narrative in there, there's all sorts of different genres included, but the main point is to share about history. And then journalism relates to history, more narrowly focused. Traditional journalism is usually expository about things happening right now, but in the 60s and 70s, journalists popularized a new form of journalism called new journalism, which brings together the fact-based journalistic style with the narrative, with more narrative elements. The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks discusses a poor tobacco farmer whose cells were taken without her consent and have been used across the globe for medical research ever since. And it links Henrietta's story to the history of Black medical experimentation in America. Economic, we've got a few books that relate to money, and money in the economy. Scientific books are going to focus on health, science, and climate. Essays are going to vary very widely. We have essays from people with disabilities. We have essays focused on Palestinians' experiences. Opinion pieces and speeches, much like essays, can be used to talk about anything and everything. So we do have some collections that include speeches and opinions. So we have a wide variety. And so again, not fiction is information. And you have a ton of options as to what kind of information you want to be learning about. And I wish you luck in exploring.